Shalom.
Hi everyone, shalom.
Welcome back to the Fig Tree Generation. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat
It's Sabbath
Shalom,
right
yes.
now. So, we were just talking about how tired we are.
Yes. It's been a long week.
It has been a long week.
Yeah, a good week. Good productive week, but a long week.
Yeah. I was telling you yesterday how I feel by the time Friday comes around, I'm extremely worn out and I'm just so excited for Shabbat. And then by the time the sun sets on Sabbath, which we've never done a video on this, but we're daykeeper Sabbaths. We believe the day is, just as you should have said, 12 hours. It's the daylight. Doesn't mean we work as soon as the night comes, and it doesn't mean we stop working when the night comes for before Sabbath. But we do keep our Shabbat dear for the daylight hours. But anyways, side note. That was a side note. But at the end of Sabbath, by the end of today, my mind's going to start going. And I can feel like the creative juices coming back and like being
ready for the first day of the week.
I'm ready to start working again. So it's amazing how Yah designed our bodies to be in line, but rhythm's a good word. Yeah, to be in rhythm with the Sabbath. I mean, He created it as for man, not man for the Sabbath, right? So this was created for us because He's our creator. So He knows what's best for us. He knows what our bodies should be eating. He knows what our bodies should be wearing. He knows, the seventh day is actually good. Our holy days also that we're supposed to keep. So many things. Yeah. Like He's so good, right?
It is. And I think over the last 7 years that we've been keeping, 7-ish, 8, going on 8, I don't know, 7-ish years that we've been keeping Shabbat, because it was the first command that we realized we weren't keeping, truly keeping, right? And we weren't keeping it on the right day. And it was hard for our bodies. It was hard we had to almost break the cycle of, what our minds have been taught and what our bodies have been taught to do on Saturdays or on the true seventh day of the week. But I have found over the last couple of years how much easier it's gotten. So I don't know, it does feel like our bodies have they started to shift and change and adapt, I guess is the word I'm looking for, to the rhythm of Yah's creation. We've seen it. We've seen how we know because our animals, we feed them the night before and we're not really out unless we're going on a Sabbath hike or something. But everything sort of seems to slow down on our land even. And we slow down and we start slowing down, like you said, on Friday nights. And we start getting into that Sabbath mode on Friday nights. After we have dinner, it's like we kind of enter into that rest mode. And it's just been the greatest gift. It has been. It's really been the greatest gift. And I resisted it so hard at first. And I look back and sort of not laugh at myself, but I sort of I can't imagine my life without a Sabbath, a weekly Sabbath.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I feel like it just draws us together. It draws us closer to Him. It's a day where we have zero commitments but to Yah. Our only commitment is to Him unless we're fellowshipping. But even then, when we do fellowships, it's all about Him. It's all about the reading of His Word and gathering together for a holy convocation. And I don't know.
So if you haven't kept the Sabbath, if you are not awake to knowing that you should, it is a sign. It's a sign that goes on your right hand and on the frontlets between your eyes on your forehead, just as a opposite of the mark of the beast. So you probably should do it. It's pretty amazing. It's an amazing thing for your body, not only physical but also spiritual. It's something we should all be doing. Unfortunately, the church nowadays, Christianity has done away with Shabbat and the keeping of the feast days and all the Torah. Not all of it, but a lot of it. Yeah. And these instructions of the Father, they're for us. So anyways, that's not what this video is about, but it is always what it's about. Hopefully we are clear when you watch these videos we do. If we're talking about Millennial Kingdom or whatever the subject is going to be, hopefully it's clear that the Torah is the most important. When we talk about the Millennial Kingdom, seeking it out, we're not even 100% that we know that it happened. I do believe it has happened, but maybe we're wrong. But something we're not wrong about is keeping the commandments of Elohim and the testimony of Yeshua HaMashiach. These are the requirements for sainthood. This is the patience of the saints. This is what gets you through. The serpent, the devil, He's after those who keep the commandments and have the testimony of Yeshua HaMashiach. So that's who he's at war with. He doesn't care. If you don't keep the commandments, you're just like the world.
Yeah.
He doesn't care about you.
Yeah.
He's at war with those saints. And so that's the most important. When we talk about these deeper subjects or some of these other things that are on the kind of the outside, hopefully you know, and hopefully you can see that it is meaningless unless you have bowed your knee to Elohim and submitted your life under his instruction. That's what we should be doing. And it's amazing because there was a human being, a man, the Word became flesh, who walked it out perfectly for us. He came to magnify the Torah. He showed us how to walk it out. He tried to reprove us and take away the indoctrination of man, the traditions of man. He taught us the commandments of the Father. That's the whole duty of man. So
that's so good. Well, if I could just read 2 verses that we read this morning from Isaiah 40 that then led us to Psalms 119. But what you just said, the Word made flesh, and he dwelt among us. So we're in Isaiah. We're doing a very lengthy study on Isaiah. I feel like we'll never get through it, but it's good. It's okay. But we're reading it with the Aramaic Targum and the LXX sort of as a side by side. So we're in Isaiah 40 this morning, and this verse has just sort of been with me all morning. And then a fellow Torah sister actually shared it this morning as well, and I was like, it's just Yah speaking right to his children. Isaiah 40 verse 8 says, "Grass shall wither, the flower shall fade, but the word of our Elohim stands forever." And then in Psalm 119, verse 89, it says, "Forever, O Yahuwah, your word stands firm in the heavens." So his word stands firm in the heavens forever. And I don't know, as you're speaking that truth, it's just like, yes, it is the endurance, the patience of the saints to maintain the testimony of Yeshua and to guard the commands of the Most High. But his word is forever. We can try to negate so much of Scripture or try to say it's been fulfilled or changed or what have you, but we know that his word stands forever. It's true. Yahuwah is not a man, he does not lie. Malachi says he does not change. And so when we read his word, I want to just believe it like a small child. I want to have that childlike faith and believe. When he says the Sabbath is a sign, it's a sign between us that he knows us and we know him.
We should, like you said, like a little child, when your father tells you to do something, as a little child, you say, "Yes, sir, I'll do it." Yeah. You don't ask why. You don't say, "Well, that might be done away with, Father," or we don't do that law anymore. This is the New Testament. No, you say, "Yes, sir, I'll do it."
Yeah.
And you said Psalm 119 as well. It's Psalm 119:44 says, "So shall I keep thy Torah continually forever and ever." This isn't a dispensation. There's not a new time when it's all done away with, and we stop keeping the Torah. There's not a time when the Sabbath has been changed. There's not a time when we change our holy days from
7 appointed times to a whole bunch of holidays.
As we're approaching Christmas, we don't change it for that. And these things are forever. And they're so amazing. We've been taught our whole life that they were a burden, they were hard to keep, you can't keep them, and that you shouldn't keep them. And this is the new covenant. You don't keep the law anymore. We're righteous already because of Jesus on the cross. He nailed all those things to the cross. I think it's important because I just quoted a bunch of stuff from the New Testament. That was Colossians and a bunch of other things. But anyways, it's important when we read the New Testament or the newer writings, when we read those things, if we don't have the foundation of the Torah behind it, then we really honestly don't have much of an idea of what they're even saying.
Right.
And we were just reading
First Peter this morning.
First Peter's literally quoting Isaiah 40 and multiple other places. He's quoting Psalms. He's quoting the Tanakh. And it's amazing because how do we know that? If we just read, and that's what we read, right? We were in church our whole lives, and we grew up on the New Testament. And we had no idea that they were quoting the Old Testament. We had no idea they're quoting the Torah. We had no idea Acts 15 is giving you laws from the Torah that's supposed to be done away with. Yeah. We were told, no, you don't do these. You're not Jews. You don't do these commands. And that we are, made righteous by the blood of Messiah. There's more to it than that.
He's the gate of righteousness, though. I mean, right? He is the door.
Everlasting righteousness.
For everlasting righteousness, but it doesn't stop with him. And to understand what righteousness is, and we always quote Psalm 119. You're just saying that righteousness is everlasting righteousness, and your Torah is truth. Your instructions are truth.
Psalm 119 and 172 says the Torah is the righteousness.
Yes. And so I don't know, but with Peter, I feel like going back to the word of Elohim, he even says that the word of Elohim is the good news. And I think that's something else. Like there's a kingdom and there's a king to go with that kingdom, as we've talked about. But the true good news is both. It's not just Yeshua and salvation. It is eternal salvation, but we've got so much work to do here on this earth, in this one life we've been given, and there's only one way to do it, and there's only one instruction manual and one set of laws to follow. And it's not the man-made laws, it's not the traditions of man, it's not what a lot of our pastors are telling us. It's right here. It's right here in the 2/3 of the book that was canonized, that we failed to read and believe and walk out our whole lives. The Tanakh, the Old Testament, like what you said. So
the gospel of the kingdom, that's the good news of the kingdom that John the Baptist was the forerunner for, and then Yeshua's talking about the gospel of the kingdom. It's not a lawless kingdom. It's not a kingdom where you go and you just, it's liberty, freedom, we can do whatever we want. Angels got kicked out of that same kingdom or one of the firmaments because they disobeyed the laws. They disobeyed the Torah of Elohim, the instructions of the Most High. Who do we think we are? We're coming in, we get grafted in by the blood of Messiah, and we don't even want to keep the same laws, the same instructions that the angels are supposed to keep. Isaiah says the angels are keeping Shabbat. I know Jubilees is big on that as well, and there's the books of Enoch. I mean, they're all talking about angels keeping the Torah,
and what we will be doing in not only in the kingdom but in the millennial kingdom.
Millennial kingdom.
We're still waiting that.
That's a good point, because we do a lot of conversation on millennial kingdom. It's all Torah based. The millennial kingdom is all about Torah.
It's a Sabbath.
It's Torah being established. It's the Sabbath rest for the world, the 7,000th year, the 7th millennium. It's literally the Torah being established here on the earth. Righteousness is established. Who cares if we were able to build buildings? And people are stuck so much on the buildings and look at all these amazing things. It's cool, but righteousness gets established on the earth. That's what the millennial kingdom is. And people that believe we're in the short season. I mean, I think we're in the short season. I could be swayed on that a little bit. Not to go back, before the millennial kingdom, but I think. Anyways, that's a whole nother video.
Put a pin in it.
But if we're in the short season, this would be a time of deception for the serpent, for the devil, for the dragon. He's deceiving people that came out of the millennial kingdom. How do you think he's going to deceive you? If you're in the millennial kingdom and got to enjoy the Sabbath rest for the world, you people were going up to Jerusalem, bringing offerings for Sukkot, bringing first fruit offerings. There's places where it says they're bringing frankincense and all these things to the temple. We're going to read some of those. But it's like, if that's happening, all these things according to the Torah and righteousness established on the earth, the short season, the devil would want you to forget that. He would want you to think there's dispensations in Yah's way. He changes. Yah gave us this set of laws. We don't follow them anymore. Now we're in the church age. Church age would be a good new name for the little season. If we believe that we're if we believe that we're so deceived that it's time of deception, it'd be good to wake up from that, and I think Yah is. I mean, he's waking us up all right now. You got so many people all over the world since our time, 2017, a little bit before that, and still even in 2020. I mean, tons of people came to the truth in 2020, and they're waking up to the truth of the word and what they should be doing. So when we talk about these subjects, I just want everyone to know, it's meaningless unless you accept the whole duty of man, and that's to fear Elohim and keep his commandments. All right, so today we're going to talk about a subject about paradise.
Okay.
Paradise, I believe, Paradise Lost. and now paradise is found, and now it's lost again.
Oh, okay.
So
let's do it. I'm on this journey with you.
Yeah. Okay. So I think this is paradise found in the Millennial Kingdom, and I want to kind of jump off of this one verse in Daniel, because everyone loves this verse. Well, I don't know if they love this verse, but they know this verse.
We know it.
I've known this verse for a long time. Y'all started waking me up in 2015 to the evil ways of the world. I think I've said this before. I think it was the Boston Marathon bombing. Hopefully that's not going to get any
My
kind
eyes
of flag or
always
anything on that.
That's
But
what you use
that, for
words.
whatever reason, was like, woke me up. It was like, it said, oh, look, there was a lot of, stuff going on right there that I could see through. And then after that, it was just like, it was like a domino effect. And then, fast forward to 2016, 2017, and Flat Earth was like the huge thing that was like, oh my goodness. So during this time, I'm reading through all the prophets, because I was like, we're in the end, going crazy. I'm like reading through all the prophets, Daniel specifically. I have,
Oh, yeah,
I'm gonna just show like this. This is like my chicken scratch on Daniel.
From starting in 2017.
Starting,
Because you got that. Didn't we get this Bible like around that time?
Probably around
'Cause
that
you wanted
time.
to be able to take notes.
Yes, but
Yeah.
I have Obama written in here. I have all kinds of the Pope, all kinds of stuff
You could
written in here.
timestamp it.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff. And since then, I've gone back through Daniel numerous times, and we want to do a whole study on Daniel. We've
Yes.
said that for so long. I think we will just go ahead and
Next
start
week,
it.
maybe?
Maybe next week we'll start Daniel 1, and we'll just kind of do a series. I don't know if it's going to be like something that we'll continue to do like every single week, but we're going to try to stick with it, because I think it's really interesting. I've said this before. Daniel is the most, in my opinion, out of all the prophets, it's the most detailed prophecy that we have. It literally is the most detailed according to official history, at least, of what happened. All the way up until Rome, which is kind of interesting, because Rome is the one that's prophesied to hide the truth, basically to stamp the truth out, to rule the whole earth with iron teeth. To break everything. I mean, this is all in Daniel. Rome is like, it's the one that we get all the lies from to change times and seasons. So after that, we're trying to search for this millennial kingdom during the time of Rome. That's where it gets hard, and you're trying to find it with history and prophets and everything. They've changed everything. When we look at Daniel, all the prophecy of Daniel, in my opinion, up until the end of 11 and 12, Daniel 12, it is all pre-Rome. Rome wasn't on the scene yet, and so that's why I think it's so detailed, and the whole thing of Daniel. But this isn't about Daniel.
No.
So we're gonna kind of jump off this one verse.
Okay. So Daniel 12 verse 4 says, "But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased."
Okay, so I've always been like, oh, this is our time. Daniel's word sealed up until knowledge is increased. We're so smart now. And people are running to and fro. They're flying everywhere. We're going all across the world and all this stuff. Actually, I kind of don't believe that anymore. I believe this is the short season. This is the time of Satan's kind of counterfeit of the millennial kingdom. There are people traveling everywhere. People are running to and fro. But look how they're doing it. It's planes, trains, and automobiles. It's these things that came out of the Industrial Revolution, the reteaching of the Watchers. These are the same things taught in Noah's day. They're the same things that were taught in Enoch. These are what the Watchers came down and taught us. So they're running around to and fro by the watchings of by the teachings of the Watchers. I think this is the counterfeit to the Millennial Kingdom. And I'm going to show you why here in a second. We're going to read some things that I believe this is actually talking about the Millennial Kingdom. This is when knowledge was increased during the Millennial Kingdom, and a little bit before that as well, and where people started running to and fro. What I think is interesting is I've always wondered, well, what does it mean to shut up the words? This is also found in Isaiah 29:11, where it says that, this says the words are sealed up and they deliver them to teachers, and they say, we don't know this. And they deliver it to the unlearned, and the unlearned say, well, we were unlearned. We don't know what it means. I think this is actually talking about the Paleo-Hebrew. I've heard other people say that before as well, that the Paleo-Hebrew, especially during Daniel's time, Daniel probably would have spoken it but Daniel's written in Aramaic.
Half of it is, right?
I think
the
so.
First half is in Hebrew, I think.
Yeah, I can't remember which one's written in the
Part of it
Hebrew
is.
or the
I mean,
Aramaic.
part of Daniel, at least I thought I'd heard part of Daniel was in Hebrew, part of Daniel was in Aramaic.
Yeah.
I think. Like the
And-
second half's in Aramaic, maybe, or something.
I think so.
I don't
But
know.
when they came out of Babylon, they adopted everything from the Babylonians, and that's where you get Ezra and Nehemiah coming back. And Ezra, you read Second Ezra, I mean, he's rewriting the Torah for future generations. Actually, he wrote, I think, 204 books, which is way more than we have today. I wish I had all those books. He writes 204, right?
Yeah.
Why are you smiling?
I'm just listening.
Okay. He writes 204 books, and he's writing them in Aramaic. He's like, this is where we believe we get the Aramaic Targum. We love the Targum. The Aramaic Targum is incredible. But he's writing Aramaic. The Paleo has been hidden.
Yeah.
And I think that's actually what it's talking about. These books are going to be hidden. And so when was the Paleo revealed? Well, it's being revealed now. I think we're in a second fig tree generation. I know that could be a whole other video, and people might think, oh no, there's only one fig tree generation. I think the fig tree generation is the generation that's waking up when you see the leaves starting to bud on the fig tree, you know summer's nigh.
It happened.
Well,
once.
most flesh knows right now summer is nigh. There's something about to happen in this world. I don't know what's going to happen, but I would say the majority of the population of the world knows something's about to happen. So I believe we're in another fig tree generation, just as the time in Yeshua, they were in a fig tree generation as well. So what does this mean, the Paleo? Well, the Paleo is being revealed in our day. I know with Unexpected Cosmology, if you go on their website, they do a lot, or their YouTube channel or whatever, they do a lot of translations. I think Pamela Glasgow, she's doing a translation. I know she's doing the Torah. She just did Song of Solomon, a lot of others, amazing things out of the Paleo. But I also believe this was revealed in Yeshua's day. I do believe it was revealed in Yeshua's day. There's a lot more to be studied about that. That's not what this video is going to be specifically about.
Yeah.
And there's, I want to say this, and just if you don't like it, that's okay. Just fast forward and just listen to something else. But the Book of Mormon actually deals with some of these things, with the Paleo actually being rediscovered. And
I'm glad we don't care about subscribers.
Well, we're finding Paleo. I'm not promoting anyone to be a Mormon. All I'm promoting is you follow the commandments of Elohim, believe in the only begotten Son of the Father, Yeshua. Okay, that's the only thing I promote here. But there is discovery of the Paleo here in the United States, and there's reasons why it's here. There's reasons why it's in Upper Russia, in Azareth, in the Upper Russia where the 10 lost tribes were. There's reasons why they were there. I think they were retaught, and it was actually coming back to life during the time in the wilderness or the Millennial
So
Kingdom.
what does the Book of Mormon have to do with that? I mean, I'm
Well, I don't want to go into the Book of Mormon, but Book of
You
Mormon.
just like to drop things.
Well, the Book of Mormon kind of explains. Now, I haven't read it. I've read parts of it, but it does kind of explain the migration of the children of Israel over here into the United States.
Well, I have a question.
Yes.
I have a question over here.
Yes.
Okay, so go back to Paleo. So when you said, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end, are you saying that's what was sealed up? What were you I was trying to understand.
Yeah, the words of the book, because Daniel's always been a part of the Tanakh.
Yeah,
it's been here. People
that's
have
been
read
confusing.
it. People have read it, but they've never had the Paleo. This has come out of the Aramaic, eventually into the LXX in the Greek form, and now we're reading it here in English. But it would have been. I would love to have a translation of this in Paleo. Pamela over at Unexpected Cosmology. Yeah, she probably doesn't watch this, but Daniel, this would be amazing to see if there's any changes. We know
there's changes.
We have found some incredible things within Daniel that they changed to try to hide Yeshua. They've changed the timeline, the official timeline.
But even in like the Isaiah Aramaic Targum, we've just found some really beautiful...
Reading the Aramaic is so different even from the LXX. Sorry, I didn't interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
But the Aramaic is so different from the LXX.
Yeah.
Man, I would love to get a hold of Paleo and all these, in all the, or just the original, what the original words were saying. And I think that's why it's hidden. I think they forgot it. I think the children's children inside Babylon, when they eventually came out, they forgot it. They forgot. They grew up in Babylon, and they forgot. Look at us. We grew up here, and we're in the United States. But there's many of y'all all across the world are growing up in, modern day Babylon, and you have forgotten. you've forgotten what you were supposed to be doing. I mean, I forgot who I was. I didn't know that I could be grafted into the cultivated olive tree, to be the seed of Abraham, to actually be keeping the ways of the Father. That's amazing. I didn't know it until I was 35. I mean, this is incredible. So I look at this and I'm just like, these words have never been shut up. They've always been here. But the true meaning of them, what they probably used to say, and yeah, the lying pens of the scribes is evident everywhere in every single book almost. It's sad. Especially in the books they took out, like Second Ezra. It just blows my mind how much they changed that. We are not, this is going to be a long video because we haven't even got on the subject.
Stay with us.
Yeah, because this is incredible.
We're getting to paradise.
Yeah, we're getting to paradise. Okay, so so if we're talking about the millennial kingdom, when knowledge was increased, and people ran to and fro. Like, I started seeing old maps. And I'm going to show some old maps on the screen. And these old maps, the majority of them show what we think of as paradise. They show all these places. They show all these places up in the north. There's I think it's the Monte Mundi map, which... I think it's Monte. I might have said that wrong, but it shows paradise up in the north with Jerusalem. That is modern day Jerusalem, being the navel of the earth, the very center, with paradise up in the north, which I do think the cardinal points have been changed a little bit. I mean, it's kind of a working theory that it's possible that what we think of as the east is actually the north. That might be totally wrong, so don't quote me on that. But I'm just kind of playing around with the theory on there. Yeah. And but there is this idea of paradise. It's in so many maps, and it's also in a ton of literature. And we're going to read some of those to you. Let's see. Probably should have found this before. All right.
I'll read it for you.
Okay.
Preserve your voice.
All right, and so this is the first one. We got a bunch of other stuff we want to read, but this one's kind of one that you probably haven't heard of. I didn't hear about it for a few years ago. It's called the Vision of Adamon.
Okay. Now the first land to which they come is the land of saints. A bright land of fair weather is that country. In it are diverse and wondrous companies, clad in cassocks of white linen, with hoods of radiant white upon their heads. The saints of the eastern world form a company apart in the east of the land of saints. The saints of the western world are to the west of the same land. The saints of the northern world and of the south, in their great concourse, are to the south and north. For everyone that is in the land of saints may freely listen to the music and may contemplate the vault wherein are the 9 classes of heaven after their rank and order. Before you comment on that, just so people will ask, where's it at? In Garcia's book, Great Commission, Volume 3.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. A lot of these are going to be in Zen Garcia, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's amazing. So I mean, this is some guy writing that he knows where the land of the saints is. I think it's amazing because I just showed these maps, and it's there's 4 sections. One for the east, west, and east, west, south, north
south,
of saints
east, west,
come to their own land. What's incredible about this place in the north is there's 4 rivers flowing out of it. I think these are the 4 rivers of Eden. I think it's possible they are. I do think they watered the whole earth. I actually think they're frozen, and we can do more studies on that. There's a verse in Enoch that I just want to do a whole video on that because it's incredible.
Verse you've been looking for 2 years.
Yes, I found it and I lost it. I couldn't find this verse, and I eventually found it back in Enoch. I was looking at a totally different area, but I found it, and it's a verse that just kind of opened wide this idea of the rivers we know of, the rivers coming out of Eden. I can't remember them. The Euphrates, the Tigris. Yeah, the 4 rivers. I can't remember them.
Yeah, the Pishon. No.
That sounds right. Pishon and.
Oh, what's the 4th?
Just look them up. But anyways, those 4 rivers, I actually believe they're frozen right now. I believe they are the what we know as the Ice Age. And there's a reason I believe that. It's in the book of Enoch, and I can't wait to talk about that. We're never going to get through this video.
Pishon, I don't know if I'm saying
the Gihon.
Right. The Gihon is the 4th one. Yeah. Euphrates, Tigris.
Pishon, Gihon, Tigris, and Euphrates. Okay, these are the 4 rivers coming out of the north. I do believe there is probably a great magnetic mountain in the middle. This is what all the old maps are showing. Isn't it interesting that you get on Google Earth, just get on Google Earth and check out the North Pole. There's nothing there. They've hidden it because I grew up my whole life knowing there was ice up there. And seeing something on top of our little globe, our fake globe that we had, and then we were taught.
All white.
Yeah, there was a little ice cap up there. There's nothing on Google Earth. You go up there, there's absolutely nothing. They actually left a stitch. If you follow the stitch, I think
it looks like it's
where they were trying to stitch together the globe because they have to make the globe out of flat pictures,
Yeah.
But they're trying to make this globe, and they left a stitch out there so you can actually follow land.
They didn't stitch it together.
They didn't stitch it together. You can actually follow land and Greenland.
Yeah.
Not Greenland, but Greenland.
Yeah.
All the way up into the North Pole. So there's land up there. They're showing you just a little bit. That's what the devil seems to always have to do. I would love to, if anybody's got a verse on this subject, I would love to find it. But it seems that there's a rule going on with the devil that he can hide stuff, but he has to leave you like breadcrumbs.
Like a shred of evidence of truth.
Or it's Yah leaving the breadcrumbs. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's like Yah allows him to hide and deceive as long as there's this little bit back that you can come back to the way.
Well, it's kind of like that verse that we love, the glory of God to conceal a matter, the honor of kings to search it out.
Yeah.
So it's like if we're searching it out, he will reveal it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's certain things that are concealed for him and him only, but
I think so, yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah. So this is one person wrote, this is what the paradise looks like right here. We also have the Vision of Paul. I don't have it right here in front of me. If you want to read the Vision of Paul, it's incredible. There's also the
that is really good.
vision. Paul gets to go to paradise. Whether it's in the third heaven, I don't know. It sounds almost like he's traveling there, which I do think is where you can go. I think there's a possibility paradise is here. There's a possibility. There's so many possibilities. It's so much fun to try to figure these things out.
So the ice cap, going back to what you were talking about though, ice cap, what we were saying about that. Antarctica's up there. You're just trying to say, not Antarctica, I'm sorry, North Pole.
Yeah.
Sorry. You're like, what? Clearly I'm not really good with geography.
Go ahead.
But the North Pole, so it is supposedly frozen, right? What were you talking about? You were trying to say, I thought you said, did you finish your thought on that?
Yeah, I do think it's frozen right now. So I don't think you can get to it because it is frozen.
And the verse in Enoch sort of supports that.
Yeah, it supports that and supports while we're in the little season. So we're going to do a different video on that. I know that's kind of a...
You've already stacked it up for 4 future videos.
But I just want to talk about these things. They're so incredible, but they deserve a whole study on it because it's so good. Okay. So another place that's written is Josephus. I know there's a lot of opinions about Josephus. I don't know anymore. I used to hear them all the time that Josephus was kind of a Roman. He was hired by the Romans. He was hired by the Romans, but he literally, I think those people haven't read Josephus. This is a very hard book to read. It's huge. But when you read it, you really understand that Josephus is trying to tell the truth because he's saying, he's trying to read the truth to you because he knows Rome's changing everything. He's like, Rome's changing our history. I want to give you the truth. So anyways, this is...
Okay, so this is an excerpt from Josephus' Discourse to the Greeks concerning Hades, towards the end, I guess in chapter 6. And it says, whereby they have attained the heavenly kingdom, in which there is no sleep, no sorrow, no corruption, no care, no night, no day measured by time, no sun driven in his course along the circle of heaven by necessity, and measuring out the bounds and conversions of the seasons, for the better illumination of the life of men. No moon decreasing and increasing, or introducing a variety of seasons, nor will she then moisten the earth. No burning sun, no bear turning around the pole, no bear meaning the constellation, I think, is that what it's referring to? Okay. No Orion to rise, no wandering of innumerable stars. The earth will not then be difficult to be passed over, nor will it be hard to find out the court of paradise, nor will there be any fearful roaring of the sea, forbidding the passengers to walk on it. Even that will be made easily passable to the just, though it will not be void of moisture. Heaven will not then be uninhabitable by men, and it will not be impossible to discover the way of ascending thither. Wow.
Isn't that incredible?
Yes.
Josephus is writing this in the first century.
Okay.
And it says that people are the earth will not be hard to be passed over.
Yeah.
And we're going to read from the Sibylline Oracles here in a second. And Sibylline Oracles tells you the righteous are actually able to pass over the earth. They're actually to go wherever they want.
Like you're able to go to paradise, basically.
Yeah, they're able. Paradise is very well. No. We're going to read here in a second. Okay. Paradise is very hard to get to, but the location of it was discovered by multiple people, multiple explorers. Discovered paradise. IBM Batuta is one of them. I think it's in Marco Polo. I don't want to say that if it's wrong, but I think Marco Polo. And we're actually going to read John Mandeville. Sir John Mandeville actually knew where it was as well. It was discovered. They knew the area it was at, and they were traveling freely. You read Marco Polo and John Mandeville, and they're going all over the place. There are some places that are dangerous, but for the most part, they're going around and being able to meet all these incredible kings and rulers and being welcomed into the countries. These countries, most of the countries were operating under a form of righteousness. And all these things were written in like the 1300s. These travelers written at the very tail end of the Millennial Kingdom. So what was it like at the very beginning of the Millennial Kingdom? You know, when there was righteousness all across the whole world and people were able to run to and fro. Paradise was discovered. It's also, we were talking about maps, it's also in the Urbano Monte map. We actually have it hanging on our wall in our living room. I love this map. It's incredible. You could look at it for hours. But when you look at that, and I was kind of talking about how, the ice caps and Antarctica's ice and all this stuff now. But then it's nothing but dry land. They have palm trees in Antarctica. They have lizards in Antarctica. They had all kinds of stuff. Probably
it was green.
It was green, yeah, and lush. Everywhere was. And I believe this was like a time where people could just run to and fro. If you're righteous, you're blessed. Look at the literature we have coming out of this time frame. We don't have a ton of literature, at least not that's available to us from the so-called Dark Ages. But we don't have a ton of literature, but we have a ton of literature right before that and right after that. That's where the most literature is coming out of. And look at how people wrote. You just read Josephus. That would have been pre-millennial reign. Have you read anything 1500s? I mean, you can barely even understand these people. They spoke with such eloquence. And they were so smart, so smart. They knew things that it was just crazy how much they knew. I think knowledge was increased. I wanted to read something real quick. This is really interesting because I just mentioned the Dark Ages. This comes from the Gospel of Kaledi. I think it's chapter 21, verse 24. Yahusha said, "This is the day of the coming of Yahweh, who will rule the earth. Yet is it not written, this will be a day of darkness and not of light." Well, it says this is the day of the coming of Yahuwah. A day unto Yahuwah is 1,000 years. I believe he's saying, hey, the Gospel Clay is so big on Millennial Kingdom. It's everywhere.
Like it actually kind of speaks of it like, in a way that you can kind of read as a Millennial Kingdom is here coming very soon.
Yeah, and why wouldn't it be? Because he's literally preaching the gospel, the good news of the kingdom. Yeah. So he's constantly talking about the kingdom. But he's saying the 1,000 years of the coming of Yahweh is going to come to the earth very soon. And is it not written, this day will be a day of darkness and not of light? Isn't that interesting? Because we call this 1,000-year period the Dark Ages. There's a lot of darkness associated with it as per our understanding. Yeah. We don't understand it. There's 1,000 years of darkness that we're trying to understand. We're kind of here in the 21st century trying to go back and figure this thing out and what actually happened. But yeah, I think that's amazing because we're looking for, I think a lot of people brand new to Millennial Kingdom or people trying to figure it out are looking for a bright shining light, Yeshua reigning and all this amazing stuff happened. Yeah, it was amazing, but it was a day of darkness. I mean, we have a chronological history book which shows all the chronological events in weather and space and meteor. That's what it says. Yeah. Whether or not space is real, I don't care. But anyways, it was like it shares all the things that were happening during this time frame and all throughout history up until the 1700s. It's pretty crazy. I mean, there was just constant destruction and famine and just horrible things. But his holy mountain, just like Isaiah 11, this is where peace was. This is where paradise was, and everything flowed from that, fed the whole earth, gave medicine to the earth, and was helping the nations that followed Yah in the Millennial Kingdom. They were spared, and you can see those. You can see those throughout history, which nations were spared and which weren't. I know in Second Baruch it says any nation that has had their hand in Israel and has been on Israel and been, had their hand in Israel is going to be destroyed. They're going to be in ruins. And look what you have today. Just look at Persia, utterly destroyed. Greece they're built on ruins. Rome's built on ruins. Egypt built on ruins. Babylon doesn't even exist. These places were utterly destroyed because they had their hand in Israel.
Okay.
Okay, so the next one, this is from Sir John Mandeville, hold on. Okay, Sir John Mandeville, and he's kind of giving you, like I said, these explorers, they knew where paradise was. Some tried to go there, and I think it's in the Vision of Paul and I'm going to say it wrong. It's a book called Zerubbabel.
I think it's Zerubbabel.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's like Vision of Zerubbabel or Letter of Zerubbabel. I don't know. We have it upstairs.
Oh, it's upstairs? Oh, it's in the big binder?
Yeah. It's fine.
Okay.
No, it's fine. Well, it's fine, but it also he's wanting to go to paradise. And basically I think he fasts like 40 years or something crazy. Like he fasts and stays committed to Yah for so long, and then eventually in his life he's allowed to go to paradise. So paradise, you could travel there, but you would not be able to enter. It was for complete holiness. I mean, incorruptibility cannot enter in there. So you would have had to been changed. It would have been like a life-changing decision to try to get to paradise. But I do think they knew where it was.
Okay. Of paradise?
Yes.
Of paradise, nay, can I not speak properly, for I was not there. It is far beyond, and that forethinketh me. And also I was not worthy. But as I have heard say of wise men beyond, I shall tell you with good will. Paradise terrestrial, as wise men say, is the highest place of earth that is in all the world. Can I keep going?
Sure.
And tell me where to stop. And it is so high that it toucheth nigh to the circle of the moon, there as the moon maketh her turn. For she is so high that the flood of Noah, nay, might not come to her. That would have covered all the earth of the world, all about and above and beneath, save paradise only alone. And this paradise is enclosed all about with a wall, and men wit not whereof it is. But the walls be covered all over with moss, as it seemeth. And it seemeth not that the wall is stone of nature, nay, of none other thing that is the wall. And that wall stretcheth from the south to the north, and it hath not but one entry that is closed with fire burning, so that no man that is mortal, nay, dare not enter.
All right, also in 2 Baruch 51:11, it says, For there shall be spread before them the extents of paradise, and there shall be shown to them the beauty of the majesty of the living creatures which are beneath the throne, and all the armies of angels who are now held fast by my word, lest they should appear and are held fast by a command, that they may stand in their places till their advent comes. Obviously, it's the beginning of that verse. The extents of paradise will be laid before them. I just think these are just puzzle pieces to show that during this time, knowledge was increased. People did run to and fro. They knew exactly where paradise was. They knew all these things. We just read from John Mandeville. John Mandeville is incredible.
Yeah.
I've done many. Well, I haven't done many. I'm sorry. We did some videos on these about the temple. If you haven't watched that, please go see that and tell me what you think. I think it's incredible. There's some things about the temple that's in there, and what I believe is the Millennial Kingdom temple. So in John Mandeville, he gives you ways to get to Jerusalem. He gives you it's a pilgrimage for the whole world to get to Jerusalem. He gives you 3 different ways. It's incredible. It's just amazing. This guy in the 1200s giving directions and how to get to these places, and specifically Jerusalem, how to make pilgrimages to the Holy Sepulchre, to the Temple of Yahweh, which is the Dome of the Rock, and to the School of Solomon, to multiple different places in Jerusalem. I said this before that I believe this is the travel brochure for the Millennial Kingdom. He's your travel agent. He's telling you how to get everywhere. And that's exactly what we read in Daniel. Real quick, and I didn't touch on this.
Yeah, go ahead.
But there's going to be someone who's going to say, well, Daniel's talking about our time. I like I said, I think he is probably talking about our time as well. But if we know Daniel, and this is what we're going to do a Daniel study, because Daniel 11, this vision that Daniel sees, he gives you a chronological history that fits the historical timeline that we have right now, up until Rome. Okay, so all these things. I mean, he tells you everything from King Ptolemy to Alexander the Great, even Cleopatra's in Daniel 11. It's very clear. He goes all the way to Antiochus Epiphanes, shows you the abomination of desolation, which First Maccabees 154 tells you the abomination of desolation took place.
When you're saying it lines up with history, like in terms of the actual timeline, or you mean just the chronological events and the reigns and the rulers?
Chronological events pre-Messiah, Messiah Yeshua. Okay, so chronological history before then, because once Rome was on scene and took over, everything was muddy.
Well, we talked about the LXX timeline being different from the Masoretic, and how does that compare with the actual timeline of history? You know what I mean?
Well, at that point, there was no, well, at least not a major change between the LXX and Masoretic in this, the 490 years between Daniel and Messiah.
Okay, in this period. Okay.
In this period, yeah. So what I mean by timeline is just what we know. If just you Google history and you're just trying to learn history, we took history in school. I know I've learned more in the last 5 years, just my own studies. Like didn't know anything about history. And biblical history, yes. Daniel lines up very, very close, if not exact, to what we know of in Greek history. Babylon, Persia, and Greek. Once you get to Rome, that's where it gets hard, and it just so happens Millennial Kingdom is in the middle of that. That's what Daniel 2 says, that the kingdom will be set up in the middle of these kings.
Take a breath.
Millennial Kingdom is set up in the middle of the kings on the statue, Daniel 2. Okay, we're gonna talk about that, but not this video. But I'm just telling you, Daniel 11. If we just go chronologically, see what it's saying. This is just me, but this is telling you who this is talking about. We get to the end of Daniel 11. There's this shift that happens, and I think there's something missing here, probably in Daniel. That's just my theory. But it seems to shift to a different king, although we're talking about Antiochus Epiphanes still. It hasn't shifted to a different king. It's talking about him, but I think it's actually shift to probably Nero. Could be wrong about that. That's just my thought. But there's no 2,000-year gap here. It's just Antiochus Epiphanes, which is 160 years or so before Messiah, 167, I think, before Messiah. And then all of a sudden, people will say, oh yeah, 2,000 years later, this is Trump. It's just like, wait a second, 167 years before Messiah. And then all of a sudden we're talking about a king who does not love women. So he's, and I won't say it because I don't know, they'll get mad, who knows. Yeah. But he doesn't love women. He honors a god of forces. This could very well be Nero. I think when you pair this with the Ascension of Isaiah literally tells you it's the lawless one is the one who kills his mother, which he killed his mother Agrippina, and then
Nero did.
Yeah, Nero did, and he's also the one that will kill two of the apostles, or one of the apostles, and one of the other followers, which was Peter and Paul. Okay, so we go up there, and then all of a sudden, this brings you to the end of Daniel 11. All of a sudden, boom, Daniel 12. This is where we find that verse. Daniel 12:1 is where Michael stands up, the great prince, stands up for his people. Michael's the prince of Israel, okay? He is the one that stands up. He's the intercessor for Elohim. This is in the book of the Secrets of Enoch. There's so much we could talk about Michael and who this is and all the times he has stood up for his people. Yeah. But he stands up. Then there's a resurrection event, okay? And then Daniel's told hey, fill up this time until the knowledge runs to and fro. There's no 2,000-year gap here. So I'm just trying to go back to this one verse. So anyone who's saying, "No, this would be done away with," I mean, this would be in a different time frame. I think it's literally just chronologically. Just think chronologically. What is it saying? Literally, what is it saying? Because it's easy in our time to insert a 2,000-year gap here. Or, by the way, and I've said this before, it could be 10,000 years, 5,000, whatever. If the prophets say so, let's throw in 10,000 years here, and believe it's going to happen 10,000 years from now. Okay. So also Second Esdras.
So we're looking at verses.
We're looking at
where paradise has been found.
Yes, we're looking at where paradise is. Is it available here on this earth? Is it a place that's been here? I believe it's always been here. I don't believe the flood destroyed it. I believe it's always been here, and I believe the gates were open. when Yeshua came. We read about this in the Gospel of Nicodemus. I'm quoting a lot of books here, but Yeshua went down. We know through the Gospels, he went down to preach to those in Sheol for 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth, just like Jonah. So he went down to Sheol, preached to those in Sheol, brought up a bunch of people. We had our first resurrection in the Gospels. No one talks about that. Well, I mean, people talk about it now, but I didn't hear about it in church.
Yeah.
There's a resurrection event. Boom, resurrection. That sounds kind of like maybe it's Daniel 12:1.
Yeah, Book of Adam, something like that. I can't remember.
Testament of Adam.
Testament of Adam talks about that. Like literally, he's telling Seth. Oh, it's right there.
Yeah, I have it.
It's right there. Well, probably we're not going to go there yet. Okay. Anyways, but that's he is speaking about that 5.5 days. I think that's the 5.5 day prophecy that it's talking about when he's basically going to be part of the first fruits resurrection.
Yeah,
and in paradise at the end of that.
Exactly. So he was gathering these people to bring them up to paradise. I don't know when the saints' resurrection happened. This would have been the pre-millennial kingdom resurrection where the saints were resurrected. It's the same one in Revelation where John's seeing them all sitting there and they're like, how much longer? And he's like, just wait just a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Just a little longer. Not thousands of years, just a little longer.
Yeah.
And same thing with the Revelations written is these are the times that should shortly come to pass. So I do think that there was another resurrection event that happened. At least scripture, I think it talks about 3 resurrections. There might be more, but at least 3 that I see. So I don't know when that happened, whether it was in 500 AD. I kind of think it could be a little bit before that. But I do believe these got invited back to paradise. And they got to come through Yeshua. They were transformed and transfigured. They were no longer man. They got to receive their immortal bodies, and go to paradise. Incorruptibility or corruptibility cannot inherit incorruptibility. You have to be changed. You have to be born again. You have to be washed, go through a Crucian lake, and be baptized to get to go to paradise. Second Esdras 10:54.
Yep. For in the place wherein El Elyon begins to show his city, there can no man's building be able to stand.
And this is just another thing. This is just another instance where there is a city that is going to be shown. Okay, I believe it was shown to all men. I believe it was shown to all men during the Millennial Kingdom, and now since it's been hidden during the short season. And I think unknowingly, we are going to gather around the camp of the saints. Whether there's a possibility that might have already happened, but that's what we're dealing with. It's a timeline trying to figure all these things out. Okay, hopefully we're painting a good picture here to why knowledge was increased. People running to and fro. The gates of paradise were opened.
During the millennial,
during the millennial kingdom.
Yeah.
During the millennial kingdom.
Yeah.
Pre-millennial kingdom, when Yeshua came, he opens the gates of paradise.
Yeah.
The knowledge of paradise was increased. The location of paradise was known. I believe it was known. I believe, like I said, knowledge was increased. This is from, what are you reading now?
Yeah, so the Testament of Levi, this is from the Testament of the Patriarchs and Prophets. The Testament of Levi says, and the glory of the Most High shall be uttered over him, and the spirit of understanding and sanctification shall rest upon him.
Talking about Yeshua.
Talking about Yeshua. For he shall give the majesty of Yahuwah to his sons in truth forevermore, and there shall none succeed him for all generations forever. And in his priesthood the Gentiles shall be multiplied in knowledge upon the earth. Here's their knowledge. And enlightened through the grace of Yahuwah. In his priesthood shall sin come to an end, and the lawless shall cease to do evil. And the just shall rest in him, and he shall open the gates of paradise, and shall remove the threatening sword against Adam. And he shall give to the saints to eat from the tree of life. And the spirit of holiness shall be on them.
Praise Yah.
Praise Yah.
That's amazing. You said knowledge.
Yeah, right here. It clearly says, it actually says in his priesthood, the Gentiles shall be multiplied in knowledge upon the earth.
Knowledge upon the earth. Gentiles shall be multiplied. I think we said the time of the Gentiles.
Yeah.
Yeah. This was a time when Yeshua is given to be a light unto the Gentiles. That's something I don't know how Judaism or Jews right now would just sweep that away or sweep it under the rug. I know they deny Yeshua being the Messiah. It's clear that Yeshua, a Jewish rabbi, a Jewish man, became a light to the Gentiles. It's very clear that the Gentiles are coming, are trying to come back, at least trying to live a righteous life because of Messiah. Man, that's huge in prophecy. But yeah, the knowledge to the Gentiles, the location of paradise discovered.
Yep.
Location of paradise opened, right?
Yep, he opened the gates of paradise. He removed the threatening sword against Adam, and he shall give to the saints to eat from the tree of life. But in the Testament of Adam, it's where because he doesn't understand. Well, anyways, this whole thing. But where he wants to be with Yahuwah in paradise, and he thinks it's gonna it's like, oh, I only have 5.5 days, and he's like, no, wait. It's much longer than that.
Well, I do think there's a possibility that that Sheol is no longer a place for the righteous. I think that there's a possibility, and this is just speculation, that we would get to go to paradise immediately if because of Yeshua, because of what we know as the new covenant. Now, the new covenant, we could talk about that so much more. The new covenant is not doing away with the Torah, and I do not think we have the fullness of the new covenant right now. I do believe that comes at your resurrection, but I think it's possible that if you do believe in Messiah and you are accepting the path to righteousness, the instructions of the Most High, that you can avoid Sheol. I do believe you might be able to go straight to paradise.
Can I read this really quickly?
Absolutely,
just because
please do.
I said it, and so it is in the Book of Adam, not the Testament of Adam.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's
awesome.
the Book of Adam. It says, "This is not to be right now, but in the future times, when 5,000 years will be completed. Then at the 5,500th year, the beloved Son of Elohim, Messiah, will come upon the earth to resurrect Adam's body from his fall because of the transgression of the commands. He will come and he will be baptized in the river Jordan. And as soon as he will come forth from the water, with the anointing of oil, for he will anoint him and all his descendants, so they will rise at the time of resurrection. Yahuwah said, I will admit them into paradise, and I will anoint them with the unction."
Oh man, that's amazing. Anointing. Why is he being anointed? A priest king gets anointed.
Yeah.
I do believe Adam was the first Melchizedek, and there's many Melchizedeks. But anyways, okay, that was amazing. Thank you for reading that.
Yes.
So another one, real quick, we're going to read from the Sibylline Oracles, and it says, "Holy law to the pious, unto whom he pledged to open every land, the world and portals of the blessed, and all joys, and mind immortal and eternal bliss. And out of every land unto the house of the great Elohim shall they bring frankincense and gifts, and there shall be no other house." I love that. He says he's going to open every land. It says this will be a time of blessing for the whole world. He's going to open every land for you to travel, to go to and fro. "For mortal temple of the mighty Elohim shall call it, and all pathways of the plain, and rough hills, and high mountains, and wild waves of the deep shall be easy in those days, for crossing and for sailing, for all peace." That's amazing.
It is.
They'll be able to sail, cross the seas, cross the mountains and the hills. I'm sorry if you can hear our kids in the background. But anyways, it's saying all the high mountains, the rough hills, everything. It's exactly what Josephus, I think we read that in Josephus, where it says the righteous will have easy pathways in that time. They'll be able to go anywhere during that time. I think that's absolutely incredible. There is more that we could talk about this, and way more to be discovered in this. I've got a couple other books that I want to get into about this, and I think it would just open up even more some of the things that we could read. But I think that's good. We can probably end this video. But I just, hopefully we're able to show that the time when people ran to and fro, when knowledge was increased. I don't think it's now. I think what we're experiencing now, where it seems like knowledge is increased, I think it's a counterfeit of the millennial kingdom. I think it's the devil's counterfeit to the millennial kingdom. And why wouldn't it be? Is knowledge really increased? I mean, are people really smarter? Have we really gotten smarter?
Wisdom.
The whole world was duped 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Most of it.
Yeah.
Luckily we weren't. But it seems like most of the world is like, oh my goodness, what did we do?
It's like we have more knowledge at our fingertips. Like we have more books. More books are coming out, especially like literature like this is coming out. But I think from a world, like taking like outside looking in, I think as a whole, not talking about those that are set apart or on the narrow path, but I feel like people are like less knowledgeable than ever before.
Yeah, I think this is we're the dumbest society ever to exist.
Yeah.
I think.
With all the knowledge at our fingertips.
Yeah.
Because people could literally go look up, the origins of, holidays. They could go look up the origins of Sabbath. You can go look up the origins of all these things, but then that's where you've got so much information. You've got so many opinions.
So much information, and not all the information is right.
Accurate or true.
I think we're dealing with I don't think knowledge has increased. Are we running to and fro? Are we really? I mean, people would say, yeah, we're flying, we're drive, we can drive anywhere. Are we really? Do we really know how big this realm is? Do we really know how big the earth is? I do believe it was mapped out and it was known during the Millennial Kingdom. I believe right now we think we can run to and fro during this tiny little circle that the powers to be held us under. There's way more in this earth. There's way more in this land. We were reading today in Isaiah how Yahuwah meted out the firmament with the span of his hand. I mean, he's literally meeting out the firmament with the span of his hand, so that big. And then the water is what fits in the hollow of his hand. So the whole water of the whole world. I mean, when we think about the size of the earth, most of it's water. It's just the hollow of his hand, but the rest of the firmament that spreads over is as big as his hand. I just like, especially when you look at the moon map and places like that. I know there's you can even look at the Mars and Jupiter and all that map. Okay, yeah, we gotta go. But anyways, all I'm saying is like, I don't think this is us. We're not smarter. We are not running to and fro. I think this is literally talking about a time of righteousness, a time, not the dark ages, a time when light was here.
And paradise existed.
Paradise existed. It was known, and it could, you could go to it. I believe the gates were open. I think Yeshua opened those gates. I think it's beautiful. You give your life to Messiah, you'd be just like Stephen. He was getting stoned, and he literally saw Yeshua reaching out his hand. He didn't see Yeshua reaching in his hand to then go deliver him to Sheol. I think Sheol, that covenant with Adam was done. And I believe Adam's generations, descendants can now go to paradise if we believe him. It's that awesome and that easy to make that step over now because of Messiah, that it's sad that there's so many people who still refuse it. Because it's that easy. But anyways, hopefully that was clear. I think it's incredible. What if there was a time when you knew paradise was on the earth? You knew, oh yeah, it's that way. You just keep going about 5,000 miles and it's there. Due north. Yeah, you know exactly where it's at. Yeah, I'm actually pointing towards the north. I didn't even mean that. But, a lot of books say it's in the east, so I don't know. Oh, yeah. So, but anyways, we'll see on the next video. We just plugged a ton of videos we have to do just because we want to talk about it. We don't want subscribers or anything like that.
No.
But
and
I love
this
talking
may
about
come
this.
next week or in 2 months. Who knows where he leads us.
Yeah. We love talking about this stuff. So anyways.
All right. Have a blessed day. Shalom.
Shalom.